Alright, well, welcome to the Twin Cities Habitat for Humanity kickoff meeting. So to start this off, let's go over a little bit of the project overview. So our section of Twin Cities Habitat just purchased a new lot for our housing project. This lot has been divided into 4 separate sections so teams and groups can focus their efforts on their section. 8 houses will be built in total on the lot, 2 per section, and will all be built simultaneously due to the time constraints we have for this building project. 6 teams are needed for the project, with each team having a supervisor or supervisors, depending on, what type of team that is. It could be builders, or the building team, or the electricians. We'll go more into that. One site supervisor will be appointed to manage and look after the entire project and all 6 teams, so any questions or problems you have on site will be directed to he or she. Alright, moving on, as you can see here, this is sort of a rough estimate of the full lot that we have acquired. We have divided it into 4 sections, section 1 in pink, section 2 in green, section 3 in yellow, and section 4 in blue. In all 4 of those sections, you can see we have red X's, and that is sort of the rough estimate where we are going to put each house. We don't know the exact placement yet until, can't make a final determination until the land graders come in and get the final okays, and that's a bit down the line from now, but this is where we want to, sort of put everything. And this is pretty much just to give you a general idea. Alright, moving right along, let's look at some of the key deliverables of this project. So first things first, allocation of zoning permits. Before any building can take place, zoning permits need to be approved by the great city of Minneapolis and the state of Minnesota. This has not been factored into the 90 days that has been allocated to the project. This is ongoing still, and this takes time. Hopefully this will get done in a week or so, but you know how paperwork gets shifted around, so maybe another month. We'll see. So up next we have allocation of building materials. Before any building can take place, we gotta get the materials in our possession. This involves, talking to our stakeholders, Home Depot, Menards, Lowe's, seeing how much equipment they are willing to allocate to us, how much equipment we need to acquire ourselves, what's that going to do to the budget, and this is right now in process. We are talking to them, sort of on the corporate level. And once we get the budget back from them, then we're going to get some boots on the ground, moving right along to the foundation crew. The foundation crew, we're going to get the team of the foundation specialists. They're going to clear the whole lot out, and then bring the land graders in and just see if that land is up to snuff, see where the most appropriate places for housing placement will be, and just sort of map out the whole area. But before that is finished, we have to bring in the plumbing and electricity crew to do the preliminary work, laying down some of the initial lines and plumbing before we finish up that foundation. This sort of step in the process is sort of the juggling act on the lot between foundation and plumbing and electricity. This is sort of the hard part, but up next is, the fun part, the building and volunteer process. This is what Habitat is. This is what Habitat's about. This is the actual building process of the houses, getting the volunteers together, showing them what our company is and what our mission is, and, just have a good time with it, but also have a safe time. This is, we're doing real construction here, and, some of these volunteers, sometimes they throw caution to the wind, and we're a professional organization. Let's keep it that way. And then after all is said and done, we have finished inspection. This is when we're going to get the land graders back, reel them back in here, and see if everything is up to code. See if the electrical work is up to code, plumbing. Make sure these houses don't fall down. These are 100-year houses. That's our mission. 100-year houses. And, we want to keep it that way. Alright, so moving right along again, let's look at some of the risks of this project. There are going to be a lot of specialized teams out there on the lot, our electricians, our plumbers, our lot graders, or land graders, and a lot of these people are unionized, so health and safety is going to be a huge priority. OSHA building regulations and Minnesota building laws must be followed. I can't stress this enough. Any deviation from these laws will not be tolerated on site or by Habitat and will be met with termination from the project. Alright, equally as important, volunteer worker health and safety. Volunteer managers will be in charge of the safety and well-being of all volunteers on their respected sites. They will be in charge of relaying the safety guides before the start of any and all work days. These volunteers come on, we want to show them a good time, we want to show them that they are actually making a difference, and we need to make sure that they're also being safe on site as well. And so just following these simple guidelines will, make sure they're having a good day on site and, no accidents are going to happen. All right, let's see, zoning laws and codes. So all construction must follow zoning laws and codes set in place by the city and state of Minneapolis and Minnesota. Again, any deviation will face termination from the project. Budgetary limitations. Each team and house has a set amount of budget allocated to them and their respective duties. So the plumbing team, the electrician team, and the building crews, everyone has a budget. The people in the back, they've written this all down. They got their Excel sheets. They budget this all out. You can't be putting an extra bathroom in one of these houses because, this isn't House Hunters. You can't be doing that. And so any disregard for these budgets, will put this project in jeopardy and, either result in cancellation of the project or, termination on your part. If you're a manager, you have to look at what you're doing on site at all times, look at who's building what is going into that house, or how much material you are using. So, just be aware and keep an eye out. Alright, and finally we have time limitations. As mentioned before, 90 days has been set as the time frame for this project. Going over that time frame could result in union workers refusing to show up on site or the project going over budget. A whole laundry list of things that could go wrong, you name it. So really keep on schedule, look at we're going to see in a few minutes here, the timesheets of what teams will be on the site what days. Adhere to that sheet. Just, don't be, I can't get up to there, I can't do it, or I don't feel like it. Of course, we're going to have days, we're going to have rain out days or snow out days. It's Minnesota, of course. But, and so we have allotted for those days. Of course, you can't build in the snow or the cold, and we want to make this a fun experience for everyone, but we also have, we got to stay on schedule. All right, project teams and leaders. So 6 teams will be needed for the project with 1 site supervisor overseeing everything. First team, the land graders. Land graders will be in charge of land and building inspection and will only have 1 team for the full lot. Up next we got foundation crew. Foundation crew will be in charge of leveling the land and pouring concrete. This team will be operating in 2 shifts for the full lot and will also be operating heavy machinery. So while the foundation crew is on the lot, pretty much no other teams will be on the lot. We don't want anyone getting hurt. We just talked all about OSHA. We don't want them knocking on the door. Up next we have the plumbers. Plumbers will be in charge of plumbing on site. Who would have seen that coming? 2 shifts will be needed, with the first shift operating in sections 1 and 2, while second shift operates in sections 3 and 4. Next we have electricians. Electricians will be needed for all electrical installation on site. 2 shifts will be needed, with the first shift operating in sections 1 and 2, while second shift operates in sections 3 and 4. Next, we have the builders. Builders will be in charge of all building, planning, and development. 3 managers will be needed to oversee the full lot and all 8 houses. And finally, we have the volunteer organizers. Volunteer organizers will manage all volunteers working and building on site. There will be 1 volunteer organizer for each of the 4 sections of the lot. Alright, we got a nice little graph over here, the teams and leaders table. This sort of shows the hierarchy of who's doing what and who's doing what job. At the top we have our lovely site supervisor, Todd Degger, in charge of the whole circus. Next we have our land grader supervisor, Alina Lundholm, and her team in pink, full lot. Next we have our foundation crew supervisor, Al Green, in charge of both shift 1 and shift 2, both in pink and blue. Next we have plumbing supervisor, Marvin Gay, in charge of shift 1 and shift 2. Next to him, electrician supervisor, we have Malcolm X, in charge of shift 1 and shift 2. Then we have our building supervisors, Diana Ross, Mary Wilson, and Jean Terrell. And they sort of oversee what's going on in the building, building side of everything. And below them we have our volunteer organizers, James Brown, Sam Cook, and Etta James. And then we have our lower groups below them, which they will be in charge of. Pretty much, the volunteers that will be on site and they will be managing. Alright, now for the fun stuff, the budget allocation. So, the lot cost us a cool $1 million, nothing you can do. Permits around $20K, insurance $80K per month. We're thinking this might take, 90 days, so 3 months. It's going to add up a little bit. Donated materials, about $200K. So, because of our stakeholders, Home Depot, Lowe's, Menards, we are not paying for everything that is going into these houses. They're donating some of the lumber, PVC, wire work, anything like that. So we're very grateful for that, and so we can sort of take that off of our bottom line so we can make nice houses that are affordable to the public that needs them. Next is donated labor, around $50K, thanks to our wonderful volunteers who come and help us. They're not getting paid, but they're helping us, put up these houses, and we really appreciate what they're doing and helping us out. So around $50K worth of donated labor. Next we have our paid labor. We do have union workers on site. They do need to be paid, but we are paying for their expertise, and we are paying them for these, to make sure these houses are quality. We don't want anything, that's gonna, a big gust of wind's gonna blow and that house is gonna go poof. We don't want that. So about $3K per day. We don't want to have too many people on lot, mucking about. So that's about how much we are estimating. And then finally, materials per house, around $80K. These are not McMansions. These need to be affordable. So around that much. Alright, and right here you can see just the sort of the total budget table that we've budgeted out. So we have the total insurance for the whole project, and then we sort of subtracted those other donated material and labor. But so our total budget is looking to be around $2 million. That's a good chunk of change, don't ask me. But so yeah, and so that's why we are really, saying, we can't go over budget. I mean, this is an expensive project. This is an expensive lot. We can't afford mistakes. We are sinking almost $2 million into this. We can't be putting 3 bathrooms and a bunch of French doors in a house. It can't be Pee-wee's Playhouse. We have to follow the rules here. I cannot stress that enough, people. So just, follow the rules, follow what we say, and I think it's going to turn out nice. Alright, finally, timeline. Home stretch of the presentation. So this project, as stated before, will take place over the course of a 90-day period. Each team will have an allotted time scheduled to them to be on the lot. A schedule has been made outlining which teams will be on site during the duration of this project. The building and volunteer coordinators have been segmented into 4 groups and will work separately on the 4 sections of the lot, but sometimes alternating days, sometimes the same day. They're going to be the most flexible group out of any one of these. Some days, different teams will work simultaneously. Um, so, for example, as mentioned before, the plumbers and electricians might work side by side. Sometimes the foundation crew's got to be on there as well. Other days you'll be the only people on the lot, so a lot of times the volunteers will just, you'll be working on your house, on your lot, in your section. It'll be nice, it'll be quiet, very private Zen experience. A site supervisor and volunteer coordinator must be on site at all times when construction is taking place. Cannot stress this enough. This is for safety and regulations. If there's any sort of issues taking place, the site's coordinator needs to take action. We can't have the volunteer coordinators, handling everything, or we can't have a union guy getting hurt on the job. So that is a mandatory for this timeline and what needs to be going on during this project. Alright, finally, this is the aforementioned timesheet that we came up with. So, as you can see, we have all 90 days allocated out. In yellow, we have the land graders. In green, we have the foundation crew. In blue, we have the plumbing crew. In purple, we have the electricians. And in orangish red, we have the building crew. Starting out in the first 7 days, land graders are going to be on site doing what they need to do. Next, foundation crew. But then, as you can see, around day 13, plumbing and electrician crews are going to come in, do what they need to do, and foundation crew is going to finish up. Then plumbing needs to come back in, and then finally the building crew is going to pop and do what they have to do, getting these houses back up. Then we have the preliminary work with the plumbing electricians alongside the building crew, but so far this is going to be the schedule, and we're pretty happy with it. And yeah. And that's it. That's the project. That's all we have to do, everyone. Simple, simple, simple. We have our 6 teams, we have our 90 days, we have our budget. Just have to wait to get that the permits in, wait to get the building materials in, but we're ready. I hope we're all excited about it. I hope, we're all going to have fun doing it. Stay safe while we're doing it. Like I said, we don't want OSHA knocking at our door. No one likes that. But pretty cut and dry. Any questions, direct that to Habitat Corporate, not me. Thank you so much for coming, and yeah, this is it. Let's go.